All eyes on the sky this weekend for the OC Air Show. One of the planes that you're going to see is the B-25 bomber called Panchito. So today, a little bit of a history lesson on the B-25.
In 2013, I had the extraordinary opportunity to meet a hero from World War II. Lieutenant Richard Cole was the last surviving member of the Doolittle Raiders. Now, this group of 80 crew members, led by Lieutenant Colonel James "Jimmy" Doolittle, flew 16 B-25 Mitchell bombers from the USS Hornet en route to an air raid to attack Tokyo following the bombing of Pearl Harbor. Now, Lieutenant Cole told me the story of how this important task took a terrifying turn.
It was 71 years ago that 16 B-25s like this one took off from an aircraft carrier deep in the western Pacific Ocean. For 98-year-old Dick Cole, though, the memory of April 18, 1942 is as vivid as if it happened yesterday.
Mission was planned for us to take off at dusk on the 19th, and our bomb load was incendiary bomb. Our target was northwest Tokyo.
Lieutenant Cole was part of a team known as the Doolittle Raiders. Led by Lieutenant Colonel James "Jimmy" Doolittle, 16 B-25 Mitchells carrying 80 airmen attacked Tokyo and other Japanese cities. Doolittle was someone Cole had idolized growing up.
Being born and raised in Dayton, Ohio, I used to ride my bicycle from the first test field that they had in Dayton called the McCook Field, which was about maybe 3 miles from where I live. And I would sit on the riverbank and watch all the old-timers do their thing, and Doolittle was one of them.
And for this mission, Doolittle assigned Cole to be his co-pilot.
We were all very lucky and in awe of having the privilege of being his crew.
High explosive and demolition bombs are made ready for the destruction of military objectives in Japan.
The raid was intended to demonstrate how vulnerable Japan was to an American air attack, while giving the U.S. an opportunity to retaliate for the attack on Pearl Harbor. The plan was for the crews to launch from the USS Hornet in the Pacific Ocean, bomb military targets in Japan, and continue westward to land in China.
We were supposed to take off at dusk on the 19th and fly over Tokyo, drop our bombs, and do as much damage as we could with our incendiary bombs, then fly all night and land at a pre-selected place in China.
Suddenly, a strange vessel is sighted. It's a Jap patrol boat, and the task force intends to destroy it before a warning can be radioed to Japan.
But when a Japanese boat was spotted near the Hornet, Doolittle feared they had been spotted and that the crew had radioed the mainland of the Hornet's presence. They bombed the Japanese boat and launched 10 hours early and 170 nautical miles farther from Japan than planned.
When the time came, there was nothing to do when they said launch. Well, you launched. That was it.
The crews knew that once they made the attack, they wouldn't have enough fuel left to make it to their pre-planned fuel stops.
Midway through the flight, Hank Potter, our navigator, passed a note up saying that we're going to end up 180 miles short of the Chinese coast based on his fuel figures. And at that time, we went through our ditching procedures and just kept flying.
An unexpected tailwind pushed them over land, and they were able to bail out of the plane when they did run out of fuel.
My conjecture, and just like everybody else's in the group, the conjecture ideas were reeling out things fast. But fortunately, a lot of them didn't come true.
Of Doolittle's team of 80 airmen, 69 escaped capture or death.
All survivors, except the crew of one plane which landed safely in Russia and were interned, reach America and are decorated by General Arnold, head of the American Army Air Forces.
American morale soared when news of the raid was released. The story was even made into a movie starring Spencer Tracy as Jimmy Doolittle. Today, Dick Cole is one of only 4 original members of the Doolittle Raiders still alive.
Dick Cole will be the first to tell you he was nothing any more special than any of the airmen that went into the air.
Larry Kelly of Mardella Springs owns a B-25 much like the ones used in the Doolittle Raid. He also has a close affinity to the World War II generation.
That period of World War II was the most definitive part of the 20th century. It defined whether the world was going to be ruled by tyranny, totalitarianism, or free governments. And we see what the outcome was of people who were willing to stand in line at a time when their chance of surviving 25 missions was less than their chance of winning a coin toss.
In fact, Larry says the greatest honor of his flying career was when Cole co-piloted with him in his treasured Warbird.
Dick brings the airplane in, does a low approach, peels the airplane up, comes back around and does the most beautiful landing I think this airplane had seen in ages. The respect to have for that generation is powerful. And then when you're sitting next to these people and understand they were just ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
And that's the message Kelly hopes to spread as he flies the Panchito over Delmarva or around the country. Keeping history alive as a number of heroes from the greatest generation pass on.
We owe it to today's generation and future generations to keep them flying, safely fly them, proper training, and keep them going, and pass them on to the next generation.
The day we met up with Lieutenant Colonel Cole, he was unable to climb up into the cockpit of the plane, a sign that perhaps his flying days are over. But he says he will always remember how it felt to take to the sky.
I feel very fortunate I was able to live my dream and still be around when all the new developments of science and so forth. So it makes you want to hang around.
And sadly, Lieutenant Cole died at the age of 103 on April 9th, 2019. He was the last surviving member of the Doolittle Raiders. Lieutenant Cole was honored and posthumously promoted to the rank of colonel during a ceremony last September at the Joint Base San Antonio Fort Sam Houston Golf Course Ballroom.
So now I interview you. What was it like talking to him?
It was incredible.
Yeah.
His memory was so vivid of that whole thing. And I mean, he was so young when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy Doolittle's co-pilot.
Jimmy Doolittle's co-pilot.